What's up guys, Mickle here, and in this video, I want to go over a pretty interesting development, some brand new news we just got in relation to the worst case scenario for Ripple and XRP in the ongoing Ripple SEC case. Now, if you've been following this channel for a while now, you would know that I already think the worst case scenario of XRP being declared a security is already completely off the table. But there's another almost equally as bad scenario that could take place that I believe is now firmly removed from the realm of possibilities. In this video, I want to talk about that and what just happened. This is very interesting, so make sure to stick around for this whole thing. I also want to talk about an interesting development in terms of Ripple and the Federal Reserve. We just heard from a Ripple employee that Ripple was talking to the Federal Reserve all the way back in 2014. I want to show you what I think that is going to turn into in the coming years. Make sure to stick around to the end of the video to see that. You are not going to want to miss it. Like always, your support means so much to this channel. If you enjoy these videos, make sure to take a quick second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It's really going to help me out so much. Also, if you ever need a good place to buy some XRP or the Flare token, make sure to check out my favorite exchange Uphold down in the description of this video. With that said though, let's jump right into it, and I hope you guys enjoy the content. So I want to start this video off and quickly go over a brand new announcement that just came out of Ripple. It looks like they just got a principal payment license in Singapore, which is going to allow them to fully operate as a money transmitter in the country. Now, this is very exciting for a couple reasons. First of all, Singapore is quickly developing into one of the financial hubs of the entire world, so it's very good that Ripple was able to acquire a license there so they could operate and really start building their business there. But another reason this is actually so impressive is because this license is actually extremely hard to get. We saw Binance earlier this year try to get this same license and they were completely rejected. On the other hand, though, we see that Ripple was just able to acquire this very hard to get license, which I think really just goes to show how other countries around the world are looking at Ripple versus the United States. We see Ripple obtaining licenses in jurisdictions all over the entire world in the middle of the ongoing Ripple SEC case. I think this says a lot about what these other countries think about the SEC. If these other countries had any respect for the SEC or believed anything the SEC was saying, they would not be giving Ripple one of these licenses. But the fact that these countries are straight up ignoring the SEC, telling the SEC, hey, we looked at your case, we think it's complete bogus, this is a good company trying to help change the financial system for the better, and then hand them this license to operate in their country, just shows how great of a company Ripple is. Let me tell you right now, if Ripple's technology was not worth it, if XRP was just some random token and any other company could mimic what Ripple was doing, these countries would not be taking the chance of giving Ripple these type of licenses in the middle of the Ripple SEC case. This just goes to show something that is so critical for this investment to play out, and that is Ripple's technology, the technology behind XRP, is second to none. It is game-changing, it is transformational, and countries are going out of their way, as well as institutions, to adopt this technology even in the middle of a massive crypto bear market, in the middle of an SEC crackdown, and in the middle of the most FUD we have seen in a very long time. In the middle of all this chaos, we see Ripple building behind the scenes, building partnerships, and probably so many partnerships that we don't even know about that will one day get released when this case is over. Ultimately, I think this announcement is extremely bullish. It shows that Ripple is continuing to build behind the scenes. Ripple is continuing to land partnerships despite the SEC's best efforts, and it shows that the XRP community has been right since day one. Ripple is the adults in the room. Ripple is the most responsible cryptocurrency company out there, and they are leading the way to transforming this financial system. That is why they are one of the only companies to acquire this license, and I have a feeling this is going to turn into a trend going forward. So now I want to move on and talk about some really good news in terms of a worst case scenario in the Ripple SEC case. And if you have been following my channel for a while, I firmly believe the scenario of XRP itself being called a security is already off the table. And if I didn't think that was already off the table, that would actually be the worst case scenario. I'll quickly go over why I think that's off the table, because I think it's important for those of you who are new to this channel. I believe that scenario is off the table because almost every single legal expert I have heard talk about this case does not think there is any chance that is going to happen, including the people who think the SEC is going to win. Even the people who have been on the SEC side from the start, even the people who have been rooting for the SEC, despite all the conflicts of interest and all the corruption we have seen at the agency, even those people don't think it's possible Judge Torres could come to the conclusion that XRP itself on the secondary market is a security. Now, I am just telling you what the legal experts are saying. Based on my own analysis, I also do not even think that is remotely a possibility. I think based on everything we have seen in this case, not only does the law make it explicitly clear that the asset itself is not the security, but we also know that Judge Torres just isn't the type of judge that is going to put a death sentence on XRP and XRP holders in the United States. That is just such a far-fetched idea. It's against everything we have seen in the law. And Judge Torres has such a good understanding of what's going on here. There is just literally zero chance she is going to come out and say XRP itself is the security. So if that black swan event is essentially off the table, then what would be the worst case scenario? Well, the worst case scenario would be that Judge Torres simply comes out and says, okay, well, the SEC didn't really make it clear that they want me to make a decision on XRP itself in the secondary market, so I'm not going to rule on it. Now, in my opinion, this is the worst case scenario. We have this case ends where there's still ambiguity about XRP in the secondary market, and Judge Torres only makes a ruling on Ripple specific sales. Now, this would be the worst case scenario, but I want to show you why I actually think that is now off the table. What we actually just saw in the library case is that the library judge specifically said, I am making a ruling in this case on library, the company's sales of the library token, but not library on the secondary market. He said that he is not allowed to address this issue because the SEC didn't bring it up in their case, and he cannot force the SEC to give this guidance as much as he might want to. This is literally what he was saying in the trial. He's saying, I kind of wish I could give you guys clarity because it doesn't seem right the SEC won't provide this guidance, but I really can't do that. I'm not allowed to do it. It's the job of the SEC to either give that guidance or I could rule on it if it was part of this case, but it just wasn't in that case. Now, what is different in the Ripple case, which is so important to understand, is that the SEC went out of their way to say XRP traded on the secondary market is a security. So we do not have the same issue as what took place in the library case. The SEC specifically, when they sued Ripple, brought secondary market sales into the case. And that is why John Deaton was actually allowed into the case. So what that proves is Judge Torres has already acknowledged, hey, the SEC is trying to make a statement on secondary sales here. So now not only do we have the SEC talking about secondary sales, we also have Judge Torres bringing John Deaton into the case to address secondary sales. So that is the perfect combination in showing secondary sales are on Judge Torres's mind. And what we have right here from Sherry, who is a very respected attorney in this community, is that she also believes because the SEC brought up this issue, it will be addressed by Judge Torres. Now, ultimately, this is extremely bullish news because, as I said earlier, there is no chance Judge Torres is going to come out and say XRP is the security. So if I believe she is going to make a statement on XRP, and I am firmly convinced she is not going to make the statement that XRP is a security, then that means she is likely going to come out and at worst say XRP is not a security, and at best specifically say I see XRP as some other asset, maybe a new type of asset or a commodity. But as long as we get the designation that XRP itself is not a security, that's really all we need. As long as we know the SEC can't touch it, it really doesn't matter what it is. If we get a designation from the courts that XRP is not a security, that is a massive win. And the important thing we are learning is it is looking more likely than ever that Judge Torres is not going to just ignore that issue. That is an issue she is going to take on and actually make clear in this ruling because the SEC specifically brought it up in this case and Judge Torres let John Deaton into the case to fight this issue. issue. This is massively bullish news and lets us know we did not sit through this case for 2.5 years just to get a ruling that leaves us with more questions going forward. And I want to finish this video off with a snippet of a clip of Darren Moore Jr. actually interviewing a former Ripple employee, Bob Way. Now, this interview is live on his channel if you want to see the entire thing, but I want you to listen to what Bob has to say here. First, one thing he says is that Ripple was talking to the Federal Reserve in 2014, but the other thing he says is very critical. He said banks want to adopt the XRP ledger, but are being held back by regulators who are telling banks you can't touch this technology. Listen up to this. I think it's really going to clear up how impactful clarity for XRP is going to be for Ripple, really making a lot of these big institutions finally start feeling comfortable using XRP. Listen up to this.
So I read a scholarly article where a researcher was talking about the XRP ledger and CBDCs, and they're kind of saying if the central banks just back the gateways on the XRP ledger, you kind of have a fully functional like cross-border CBDC platform overnight, and all they have to do is say these tokens are backed by us, and you have central bank currencies on the XRP ledger, and would be like a quick fix. Do you see anything like that ever happening in the future?
I would love it to happen. Literally, it doesn't even have to be that complicated. But keep in mind, all the way back maybe 2014, we were talking to people at the Federal Reserve about the potential for doing this. They're probably the most conservative, slow-moving organization on the planet, right? Because so much is involved, but they saw the benefit of doing this. All you really need to do is stop threatening the banks that if you use this system, you're going to lose your banking license. That's really all people have to do, because it's really a very open accounting system. It's the easiest accounting system in the world to audit, and it works exactly the way auditors would want to audit interbank transactions. It's really brilliant from them. So yeah, you're exactly right. You don't actually need all of these extra chains and other things. You really just need the Federal Reserve to say, it's okay, bank, you can hold dollars and become a gateway to the XRP ledger, and then the money will just flow on the ledger until somebody needs to transfer it back out to an off-ledger bank account. That's essentially what a gateway is.